Welcome to Plate Stack Chat. I'm your host, Jason of Jason CF Media, and each week I'm joined by some brilliant guests, and of course, this week is no exception. My first guest is the owner of CrossFit Aylesbury, but also an incredible athlete in her own right, having been to the CrossFit Games on a team in 2021. We don't talk about 2022, and then finished 14th with her team at the European semi-finals, the lovely Maddy Harris.
Hi.
Maddy,
Thank you for the intro. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Yeah.
Good.
And joining Maddy and myself is one of the fastest rising stars in the world of CrossFit, who jumped from 24th in her rookie year at the Games to taking 5th place last year, despite losing her shoes in the alpaca. You'd recognize her either for her incredible hair or deadlift. It is the one and only Alex Gazan.
Hey guys, that was quite the intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's maybe the only bit I write for the whole thing. Like once the guests are in and they're happy, then we can go. We can go.
Perfect.
I am always, I didn't expect to bring this up immediately. It's a side point, but I'm always fascinated by your hair because my daughter has like very curly hair, which everyone finds really weird because my wife, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, is from the Philippines. So she's got like black, straight hair. And my son also has very straight hair. And they're like, there's this girl, she's got crazy curly hair. And then obviously when COVID hit and lockdowns hit and we weren't able to go out and get haircuts, people discovered that when my hair gets long, it goes kind of curly.
Yeah.
So I look at you and I think, oh, she's going to look like that in the future. Because also she's done CrossFit Kids. You know, she's only 4, but rising star herself. So
yeah.
It's all in the curly hair. That's the key.
That is the key.
That's how you come 5th at the Games.
Perfect. I'll keep it then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tia's got pretty kind of curly hair as well, hasn't she?
Yeah,
so there is some truth in all of this, I guess.
I need to go and curl my hair.
Yeah, Maddy, quick. You've both recently been at Wodapalooza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? So I was going to ask, mate, had you ever met Alex before?
No, and I don't think we crossed paths really too much at the this year, partly because the weather was so bad. If we weren't competing, we were hiding.
Yeah, I didn't compete at Wodapalooza. I was just spectating and doing some like sponsor obligations and meet and greets. So I was either at a booth or, like you said, hiding. It was rainy.
It was pretty. Yeah, the weather was pretty bad this year. I went last year expecting like sun, you know, exactly what you think of Miami coming from the UK, and I got there and I was like, oh, this is a storm. This is horrible. But it was an experience. It was interesting to work out in like the rain.
Totally.
Yeah. And I was listening to Justin Kotler. I think you know him, Alex. On
a little bit.
on Death By, and like he and Snorri were really laying into Chase because he hadn't gone to Wodapalooza, and it was like, you have to go. Like, you're doing a disservice to yourself if you want any kind of career within the CrossFit world, you need to be at Wodapalooza. It's the most important place. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, I wasn't at Wodapalooza. Clearly don't care about having a career within the CrossFit space. That's what I've understood.
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like it is a great networking opportunity, and like it can be, but I also think like a lot of big names in the sport don't do Wodapalooza. Like Matt Fraser never did it. Tia never did it. Like lots of other people.
I think their reasoning was at the Games, athletes are so focused on the Games, whereas at Wodapalooza you can network because people are a little bit more open. In fact, we have met Alex. We met at FitFest.
Yep.
And that was like another example of people that listen to this podcast will hate it because they'll be like, the only thing he's ever been to is FitFest. It's all he talks about. But FitFest was great because the athletes were very relaxed. So you could talk to them. And we spoke to I spoke to you and spoke to many of the other athletes that were there. But it was like that less pressure meant that you could sort of enjoy the experience of going around and
totally.
I do think it's really good for. I wasn't there because I was in Dubai, but it's really good for the UK CrossFit community. I think being in the UK, like sort of an island on its own, it's a little bit isolated. And unlike the big events in America where sort of loads of people can get to it, it's nice that Sid host FitFest and things like that, because I don't think many UK sort of box goers would get the opportunity to see the likes of games athletes and stuff, because we don't have massive amount of games athletes over here training or from the UK. And if they are from the UK, they've moved. So it's really nice that they host that and people get to see it.
Don't sell yourself short, Maddy. You're here.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, but the people are probably bored of me.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, yeah, but I was on a team. It doesn't count.
Yeah,
it counts. It counts.
No, that's not. I don't mean to do like the UK athletes like discredit or service or anything, but there are a lot of individual games athletes, I think, that we don't, like the CrossFit community don't get to see, compete or meet in person as much. So it's nice that everyone came over for that, because Wodapalooza is a huge trip just to go and spectate. The games is a huge trip to go and spectate.
Yeah, for sure.
Other comps of that level, like it's hard for, like you say, like just your average box goer who loves to watch a bit of competitive CrossFit to get to in person.
Oh, for sure. Even going to FitFest, like from me going to there, it was a big travel.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I almost missed it. It was actually somebody else that messaged me saying, I'm coming over from America to go to FitFest. Are you going to be there? He's like, how close is it? And I was like, well, it's in Birmingham. I was like, so for an English person, that's quite far away. And for any other part of the world, they'd say it's really close, because it was like a, I don't know, 2.5 hour drive, a 3 hour drive, something like that.
Yeah.
But in England, we're like, oh, half an hour, that's my limit.
Yeah.
But in the end, I was like, I can jump in my car and drive down and enjoy FitFest. So I was really glad I went. It was a good time. Now you weren't competing in Miami, Alex.
No.
But you were spending time with a mutual friend that we have.
Sophie.
Oh, I'm glad you knew who it was. I said to her, what if I say your name? And she goes, I don't know who that is. Yeah. So, Maddy, do you know Sophie from Massage RX?
I don't think I do.
You don't.
Do
I? Thought you might. Well, there's a good chance you do if you've ever had any like work done on you at SID or. So you're going to be at SID Origins.
Yes, I think I do know. I do. And I'm sorry I said no in the first place. I apologize.
Right. You can apologize to her next week when you see her.
At SID.
At SID. Yeah. In fact, so this episode will come out the Friday before SID Origins.
Okay. So you'll hear it and I'll go and say sorry.
If you hear it, you can go and say sorry. And if you're listening to this on the Friday or maybe on the Saturday traveling down to SID Origins and you want the same level of care that an athlete like Alex Gazan gets, you need to go to Massage RX and they'll sort you out for any niggles or issues that you've got while competing over the 2 days at SID Origins. Okay?
Yeah, so she's awesome.
Well, you say she's awesome. I don't know if you're going to change your opinion, because she told me to ask you about toothpaste. She didn't give me any context, anything else. She just said, ask her about toothpaste.
I think maybe I weirded her out. I have like a toothpaste powder. It's like a black charcoal powder. It makes a mess. And I was like telling her she should try it. And I think she was like, this girl's on crack. Because it's just really random, but that's probably the context you're looking for.
Does it make your teeth black then when you put it on?
For a brief moment, and then it rinses off.
Yeah. Did she see you then? You kind of walked out with black teeth, and she just went, "Whoa, what's?"
No, I like told her to use it, and then she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is the idea behind it? It makes your teeth really white in the end.
Yeah, it's just like but it's just like a natural toothpaste, so it doesn't have like fluoride or anything else in it.
I thought it was maybe just it makes them so black, and then when you wash it off, you're like, I think they're whiter. I guess. It's like when you turn a light on and off, and you're like, oh, it is brighter in here now. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, she gave me no context. She also mentioned a nickname that she's had, which is Sophie the Angel.
Oh yeah, she's the angel. I keep calling her an angel.
Unbelievable. I told her it's not very humble of her to accept that nickname, and she needs to go for it. But
she's going to get so many clients now.
Well, I think they're taking over SID Origins from the sound of things for all your physio needs.
All your needs.
But yeah, I just it touched my heart to know that when I've got an issue, I'm getting that same professional care that that Alex Gazan gets. So maybe I'll come fifth at the games next year. Who knows?
Perfect.
Maybe.
Who knows? I'm struggling to think how bad my Open's going to be this year. As off mic, we all spoke a little bit about how rough some of us have been feeling the last couple of weeks, and so
it's better to have it now. I was ill. I was like, at least it's not the Open or.
Yeah, I got mine traveling from the UK back to, like, I got it in the UK before I came home, and I was out.
Oh no!
So I got mine early. I feel like a lot of people are getting theirs like the past month. I got mine in December.
Yeah, I got mine coming back from Miami. So I got mine coming back from Wodapalooza. I literally landed and I was like, oh, and I couldn't train for like 5 days. But
it's not fair because I didn't get to go anywhere. You all got to at least go places.
At least we got it somewhere. Yeah.
I think I got it from sending my kids to school. That's pretty much how I got it. Okay, that will be interesting. It's one of the things, isn't it, about the season structure and like having to go through the difference that you've got your Opens, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals. There's all these opportunities that something like sickness and illness can just disrupt a season so unexpectedly because it can just crop up at any time. So I think it is good that you've both kind of gone through it and come out the other side. What would you do do you have kind of contingency plans? Like if you are feeling really rough, is like a strategy on how you're going to approach the season? Because I'm guessing, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so maybe I should just let you speak. But I think like the Open should not be a kind of a hiccup, even if you're not feeling your best, to make it to the next stage.
I'm a sucker for. I get really sucked into the Open, and I'm like, I need to redo it. And my coach Owen's like, why? like you say, the Open, for both of us is a relatively comfortable. It's not comfortable. The Open workouts are horrible, but a comfortable stage in terms of getting through. Like my big stage, and I don't know if this is the same for Alex, will be the quarters. That's the sort of pinnacle for me to get then to semis, because it will be like my last few years when I've done them I've been team, but individually I've done them, and I'm going individual this year. I'm like, now they've cut, I don't know again what America's like, they've gone from 60 to 40 in Europe, and I've kind of always been around the 40 mark. So that's going to be like a big month and sort of weekend for me. So if I'm ill, then I don't really know. I was in quarterfinals 2 years ago, and that was very much just take the drugs and kind of power through it. But that was with a team. It was slightly different mindset. Let's just cross everything that I don't get ill in quarters.
Yeah, and when you
try not to care too much in the Open.
And when you say take the drugs, you do mean like medication?
Yeah, sorry. Oh my God. With the history that comes out the back of my team, when I say take the drugs, I mean take the Lemsip, the paracetamol, and the ibuprofen. That is it. Like the drugs you can buy in Boots. That's it. I don't know if it's the same for I don't know where you're like sort of. I don't know if the quarters are a comfortable stage for you or.
Yeah, I mean, being sick for anything probably sucks. So I'm gonna hope that doesn't happen. And depending on the level of sickness, right? Like sometimes you can get through it. Sometimes you have to pull out, or you do it and it's not enough. So I don't know. I don't really like to dwell too much on that.
Yeah. I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I think I don't know. Again, if it's just I don't want to speak for both of us. I think illness, sickness, that kind of thing. Your body, when you're competing, can kind of go to a weird place and ignore it a bit. It's not the same as and don't get me wrong, you feel like utter crap after I've sort of competed through illness and I sort of crash and burn at the end of the competition or the end of that Open weekend or whatever. But it's not like if you've got a shoulder injury or a knee or an ankle where you physically can't do the movements, you just feel rubbish. But like Alex says, sometimes you just have to make the call and pull out. But
yeah, I felt really sick I started getting sick Saturday night at FitFest, but we had one more day. Yeah. And I didn't really want to let my team down, so I pushed through. And I think that's what put me over the edge. You can get through it, but then you're just like you said, just total toast. But yeah, let's just hope that not an issue will happen.
We've seen our illness for the year, hopefully.
Yeah. You got it in early. You did it in the off season. Yeah. Now, Maddy, you just mentioned you're going individual this year.
Yes.
That's interesting because I'd seen you'd gone to Dubai as an individual, obviously. And I did wonder what your plans for this year were.
Yeah, a lot of people asking me. So obviously, team went team. Like team came together with COVID. COVID happened and all that year. Then I went team, went to the games in 2021, loved it. Same team came together 2022, and obviously we had our experience where one of our athletes were popped for taking banned drugs, which was heartbreaking. Went for a bit of redemption year last year, but didn't quite pay off. We had a really poor first day, and just it happens. So everyone's like, "You're going to go team again?" And I think I was just at a point where I've been to sanctionals individually before. I'd qualified to semis. I was like, I think for me, I just want to go individually. I've done a few comps, albeit not very well prepared for. Like Dubai was such a last minute call up. My God, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what CrossFit is. And as it stands, yeah, I'm going to go individually. I'll probably be a alternate on a team for the box, just sort of maybe help them with their journey. I don't have any intention of doing the quarters as an alternate or part of that team. I've got every intention of going individually, and my level is that I have to, if I'm going to go individually, it'll have to be all eggs in that basket. I won't have the capacity to go team then individual. It'll just be too much. So yeah, as it like say, unless some crazy last minute can't say no to opportunity comes along, I'll go individual this year.
That's exciting. So Aylesbury will still have a team, but
Aylesbury are going to have hopefully 1 or 2 competitive teams. Who knows? And I don't know. Alex might have more light on this, but I also think the standard of teams is going to go up a lot, certainly in Europe because of the cuts. So because they've cut the individuals so much, I think that's going to drive people to go team. And there's also less spots team. I'm not sort of saying, it's so hard in Europe, like we've been completely screwed over, but I can't quite fully.
But you're going to not say that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Not say it, but it's a very good region, and they've cut it by, over 25%. So it's going to be hard, and I think, like I say, that might force some very good individuals to go team, so they get their chance. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's possible for sure.
Yeah, it could go the other way. I don't know, but I don't know if it's the same out in your sort of semi-final regions. If it's the same sort of cuts, I suppose we don't really know how it's going to look yet.
I'm assuming, Alex, that you're going individual for the
games. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel? I mentioned in that wonderfully crafted introduction that you're kind of this rising star, but really, I don't want to say you came out of nowhere. I think a few of us were watching, and especially if you follow kind of, different podcasts, things like that. You've been, I remember I think Justin was on the phone with Savan, and he just ran over to you after an event, maybe, and that was sort of way before.
That was Granite Games.
I was thinking, was that Granite Games? Yeah. So I think a lot of us sort of knew who you were and could see, but I mean, second year at the games, top 5 that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Was that your aim? Was that your goal, or was it my
goal was top 10 going in.
Smash
which
that.
You got. Yeah. Oh wow. So I mean, so last year your goal was top 10. So how do you manage now kind of that additional pressure? Because I was watching I was watching a clip. I watched the whole thing. I put up a clip on my Instagram from the behind the scenes that Savan did, where he's speaking with David Sharonke about his reaction after a workout compared to Justin's, and how Justin is really looking stressed, whereas David's a bit more sort of chilled, and he's talking about that level of expectation. That for him, if he can improve on a previous performance, that's a win, whereas Justin has come back trying to repeat a win, and there's this sort of extra layer of pressure. How do you manage that now going into the games where people are going to be looking at you and thinking, well, last year she was top 5. What are we going to see from her this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, it's definitely different. It's weird because when there's only a few more spots to go up, right? But there's so many spots to go backwards. So it's that kind of like mental game of like, of course you want to improve, and like my goal is to podium, but like you also have to figure out a way to be okay if it doesn't happen, because obviously anything can happen. And I think I used to not quite understand why Mal and Haley had pulled out. Like, I didn't really get it, because in my head I was like, well, just like go have fun. Like, who cares if you don't get the winning spot or top 5 or whatever their specific goals were. I really didn't understand, because I was like, you're just missing out on like opportunities. Like, why take a year off when you could just dial it back? Like, maybe don't even go 100%. Like, you're still good enough to go. But then I started to understand, and someone, I can't remember who I was talking to, but like it was this analogy of like, if you're like reaching towards the top of a mountain, like you're kind of just fearless and you're just like going to the top of the mountain. But once you're at the top, everyone else is trying to pull you down instead of lift you up. And like that was like a really interesting like headspace that I didn't quite understand. And it makes sense. Like everyone else is trying to take your spot, whereas like before you're just trying to like go up. But I don't know. I'm like excited. I feel like being 22. Being 22, it gives me a lot of time. So like, of course, I want to make it on the podium, whether that's this year or in 3 years or whatever, or if ever. Like, there's just a lot of time to be patient and just put the work in, and the chips will fall where they may.
How long have you been doing CrossFit for?
Yeah, I started in the end of 2017.
Okay.
So
you've got loads of like, in
like
terms of a career, there's like people go for,
yeah,
you've got loads and loads of time.
Yeah,
I suppose even if it's one of those things, if you take a few steps back, it could mean like big steps forward in a year's time, and that's where your podium comes, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't start like semifinals in 2021 was my first big competition.
Right.
So like my competition life is short so far. So like definitely feel like I have a few good years left in that. But yeah, like you said, just taking time with it.
So I don't want this to turn negative. So you could even just say, let's move on. But that's a really interesting analogy you gave about the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things we see at the games is like the way the athletes are all supporting one another, and everyone's hugging and everyone's cheering each other on, and all of that. And I'm just wondering, like, do you notice sort of, when you're in the bottom 20, everyone's your friend because they're all just happy to be there, and you're all kind of happy. And then as you are creeping up the leaderboard and you're getting to those spots that can make, a big difference in somebody's career, does it start to kind of get a bit colder, and you notice that actually people are a little bit more not mean,
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak
to be nice
to everybody, because I would say like there are a lot of people that are still the same. But for sure, like I would say like there's a lot more just like eyes forward, not talking in the corral, like a little more cutthroat.
They're not giving you advice on how to kind of do a movement just before you go out there, right? It's like,
no. And I'm a person that does better when I'm relaxed and like having fun versus like focused and like serious. So like I'm usually trying to chit chat with somebody in the corral, and it's kind of like luck of the draw if I get next to someone that wants to. But yeah, I'd say it's different for sure.
Do you think going back, I love that I've just assumed you're going back. So let's just put aside the open, quarters, and semis for a second, and let's jump to you being back at the games now. Do you think going back that sort of feeling will just be there immediately? Like, even when you're all on equal points, you haven't even done the first event yet, but there's that target on your back, and that you're dangerous. You're somebody that could take my spot, kind of thing. Do you?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I feel like as everyone gets better, and it's hard because like in one sense, like I believe that everyone can be successful, but in the more realistic sense, like only one person wins, and there's only one person per spot. So it's kind of a catch-22. Like, Yeah, I'd say like it depends on the person, but it definitely gets a little more serious.
And do you think you'll still be able to have fun? Like you're saying, you perform much better when you're having fun. Do you think you'll be able to kind of just kind of block that out to a degree, or just find the other girls that are like you that will want to have fun, and you can still sort of get the joy you find at that experience?
For sure.
Nice. That's good.
I was going to say, do you find like the games a fun experience? Because I think there are some people, and I don't want to speak for everyone, who are like, yeah, it's my job, it's not fun. And like as great as like as much respect as I have for them for having that attitude towards training and getting to the games, and I know that the training you have to put in is pretty much a full-time job, but I'm like, if you're not having fun, like do you find it fun, or do you find it like it's a job you've got to get done sort of thing?
So I feel like I can live in like the middle ground. Like there are some like in training, like I'd say like I usually have fun, like I enjoy training. Some days like today, like I had to swim and I'm like, I really don't want to swim. Like I want to sit on my couch. And like, so there's moments where, okay, this is my job. Like I just need to go do it.
Yeah.
The games is interesting because it does like, it's fun when you do well. And like, but until you've done well in an event, the events are terrible and it's so hard.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like it's fun looking back, but during, like, I'll give you an example. Like before the ski sandbag event, I had such a poor mental attitude going into it. I was so tired from alpaca. Like I just had a really big like adrenaline crash and I was so tired, and the workout like didn't sound fun. Like sandbag squats just sounded like horrible. Painful, and I didn't want to do bad, but I kind of was like, I don't think I'm going to do well in this. Like, and I genuinely just like, I just want to be done. Like, we're not even halfway through the games and I'm so tired already. But then like I did well and I was like, oh, like that was cool. Like, it's just like, it's such a high and low.
You did really well on that workout, didn't you?
Yeah, I got second.
Yeah. Do you know, I just watched the, I don't think it's out yet, but I just watched the behind the scenes of that event. And they interview you immediately after, and you're like, yeah, it was great. But I don't think they saw you. I don't think they interviewed you beforehand.
No, if you would have called me before, like, you can kind of tell when I'm in a good or bad headspace before a workout, because I'm never mean or I'm never like sassy, but I'll just get really quiet. So like, like Justin will tell you, I'll just get quiet. I'll do like minimal warm up, like just try to be to myself, and that's how I was before that event.
So if we ever encounter a sassy Alex Gazan, should we be worried?
You
like
won't.
what will have triggered that?
You won't.
We won't. Okay,
No.
good to know. You mentioned the alpaca. So I have a question about that. I don't know if you've answered it somewhere else, but you know when your shoes coming off, right? Did they tell you had to put your shoes back on?
Yeah. So one shoe fell off. And I was like so close to the finish line, and I was like, I'm just gonna go barefoot because I can. Yeah. I literally had like 12 inches, or like it was not far. And then I took my socks off, and as I took my socks off, Chuck, the main head judge, came over and was like, "You need to put your shoes back on." And yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, because I think when I saw that, and I might be wrong and I might be misremembering things, but I feel like when I saw that on the stream, I saw you kind of take the shoes off, take like a step and a bit, maybe try and take a step and then put them back on. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if, maybe like in bare feet, you just couldn't get that grip that you needed or something like that. And then when I saw one of the behind the scenes and I saw it from the other side, I saw Chuck talking to you and I was like, oh, did she get told she had to put them back on? And then that's, because I mean, that's, we've talked I've talked to people in the past about, not tying your shoelaces properly and like having to tie a shoelace during an open workout or something like that. Like fully putting your shoes back on during a workout is a, that's a considerable chunk of time that you're not getting back.
The knots were so tight because I had like triple knotted them, and my grip was gone. My headspace was gone. Like I've never been so panicked. It was hilarious.
You just sort of like put your feet
all over a shoe.
Just.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I think it must. So I had a few years ago an event at the games, and it was a 5K run into a 3 rep max back squat. And we were like, oh, can we change our shoes? Because there's like a rest. They're like, no, you're not allowed to have socks. We're like, so we can't change. They're like, no. So everyone into this, oh my God, do we wear running shoes? Do we wear lifters? What do we wear? Because we have to do a 5K run into a squat.
Yeah.
But they said you absolutely can't change your shoes. I don't know why.
What shoes did you wear? There's no way you did a 5K running
curious.
lifters.
I went nanos. I was just like, I'm just going to go in the middle.
Good
and
choice.
I put my knee sleeves around my shins because they were like, you can't take your shoes off to put knee sleeves on. So I was running with my knee sleeves around my ankles in my nanos, so I could just pull them up for the squat. But like, no, I don't worry. I did not run a 5K in lifters, and I did not do a 3 max.
That would hurt my shins so bad.
Yeah, it was really sweaty, and then I could barely pull them up. But everyone was in the same situation. But it's just the way one person asked in briefing. They were like, "Can we take out a spare set of shoes then?" And they went, "No," and everyone just went into absolute like breakdown as to what they do this event in. But I don't know why that what the rules were, if it was a sponsorship thing or a coverage thing.
It's just a rule they have. I should have known better. I've gotten like I've had to redo qualifier workouts before because of taking my shoes off.
Yes, yeah. Handstand push up like shoes. I've done that.
Yeah, I think it's just like a rule. I don't quite get it, but
yeah, because I think you train quite a lot barefoot, don't you, Alex? Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I did the old, like the first time strict handstands came out, whenever it was, kick my shoes off because like I couldn't slide up and down like the first time I'd ever done them. And then I read this standard and I was like, oh my God, it says you have to keep shoes on the whole time. I thought I was being like really smart with some advantage to like take my shoes off or like make me lighter.
Yeah. Totally. How heavy are your shoes?
Yeah, well, they're not that heavy. That's how desperate I was at the time.
Right. Oh.
Jason, I got like 2 minutes.
I was literally just about to say, Alex, are you okay? Because I know you had a hard out, and what I've said at the end of nearly every one of these episodes I've recorded so far is how I always promise to keep them really short and brief. The reason is I'd love to speak to you again, both of you, know, with different guests. And what I'd like is that when people listen to it and it's like half an hour and they go, oh, I could have listened to more of that. And then they see you come up again and they're like, oh, I'll go back and listen, and not, oh, that really dragged on that final hour and a half, didn't it? So, so that's the idea.
Anytime. Sorry to cut it short, but anytime.
That is all right. So, Alex, if people want to follow you and see you training in bare feet because they can't do it at the games because you're not allowed, where can they find you?
Probably Instagram. That's about it. Alex Gazan. It's pretty simple.
Pretty simple. It's a good thing of like a unique name is that you get all the Instagram handles. You're not fighting people for it.
Yeah, my maiden name was always taken. My maiden name was Willis, and that was like common.
So my name. So everyone always just said like Jason CF Media and anything I went on. And then the other day when I was on Death by Lauren Khalil knows my surname, and she said it there, and people were like, oh, very surprised. I have a surname. Yeah, Jason, you have a surname. I'm like, yeah. That's what the C stands for. It's Croxon. It's not for CrossFit. People are getting confused. And I always thought my name was very common because all my family had it. And then I lived in Italy for years, and I used to tell them, no, it's just a pretty normal English name. And then when I moved back to England and I moved up to Bath, and people were like, your name's weird. I was like, I don't know. And I still defended it. And then I thought about it recently that I have gotten every like Gmail account, Hotmail account, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, I get my name. And then I was like, yeah, maybe my name is a bit weird because otherwise I'd be fighting for that. So Alex Gazan on Instagram. Maddy, if people want to follow you going individual in your season this year.
I'm choosing which shoes to wear.
Choosing which shoes?
Instagram, I'm Mads Harris.
And as always, oh, well done. And as always, I will put links to everybody's Instagram and things in the description or the show notes, depending if you're listening or watching. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us today. Come back next week. We'll have some other very exciting guests. Thank you once again to Alex. Thank you, Maddy. And I look forward to seeing you when this releases tomorrow, Maddy. And I hope we'll get to see each other again. Alex, if not in the UK, maybe one day I'll get flown out to the games. Who knows?
Perfect.
But it's very unlikely at this stage. But thank you very much.
Maddy, it was nice to chat with you as well.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you as well. It's nice to meet you. officially.
Hopefully I'll see you in person one day or another.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Hopefully. That'll be the goal.
We'll all meet at the games.
Yeah.
Some of us will be competing, some of us won't. I'll let listeners decide which is which. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.